Well, hello there, and welcome to my channel. My name is Zion Aesthetic, and today I wanted to have some input on the whole James Charles situation. There's obviously a lot, and I'm sure those of you who are interested / disgusted by this entire situation have already watched a plethora of videos on it. So you know the entirety of the situation, you know sort of like what the big talking points are, the scandals are, and I'm sure you've already seen a lot of people respond to those points. So I didn't really want to just put out another video talking about the entire situation because I've already myself watched about 30 of them from all sorts of different channels, but I did want to come on here and talk about one thing specifically, and that is the alleged predatory behavior that James Charles has exhibited. For those of you who don't know, I'm going to fill you in, and this is all alleged because I'm not looking to get sued, but basically James Charles has come under fire for a lot of things, and the big talking point for a lot of people have been the fact that James Charles chases after straight men and basically tries to coerce them into sleeping with him through a couple different means. He allegedly uses his power and his fame and his followers to entice people who either want to be successful themselves on social media or who are just starstruck, and he will convince them to come hang out, or he will convince them to come to some event, and once there, he will try very, very hard to, all alleged again, get into bed with them or get them into bed with him. That's pretty much the general gist of what I'm going to be talking about. So all of this really kicked off when a YouTuber by the name of Tati Westbrook here on YouTube, she goes by the name Glam Life Guru, dropped a video talking about all of these points as well as many others, pretty much highlighting the behaviors that James Charles has exhibited in her company that she has had firsthand experience with, that she's seen him do. And after she dropped that video, it sort of started the ball rolling, and a lot of other people have either put their 2 cents in on these subjects, or people who have been specifically targeted by James Charles himself have come out telling their story. There was just this whole controversy with an Instagrammer named I'm Gage who was seen at Coachella with James Charles, and there was this whole back and forth where he alleges that James Charles tried to use him for sex or for some sort of romantic relationship, and James Charles alleges that he was trying to use him for clout. There's just been a lot, basically. A lot of different people coming out saying that they have allegedly been abused by James Charles in one way or another. It's shitty. It's really gross. It's really abhorrent behavior. What I wanted to come on here and talk about is just how disappointed I am with him. And I don't want to speak as a spokesperson for the entire LGBTQ plus community, because everybody is different and everybody has their own set of ideals and everybody treats situations very, very differently. But just as somebody who in some ways am hitting from the same ballpark that James Charles is, I wanted to come on here and talk about how disappointed I am. It sucks because those of us in the community who, like, we've come so goddamn far as a community. We still have miles to go, but just like in acceptance and in people understanding where we're coming from and in people validating where we're coming from, this sort of thing really sets us back like miles, because one of the hardest hurdles that we've had to overcome is people thinking that we as gay men are predatory and that we as gay men are looking to trick straight guys or straight women into sleeping with us against their will. And I know there's this like whole thing on the internet about like, it's so funny that straight men are so scared of gay men when they exhibit the same behavior towards women, which may or may not be true, but like the whole thing is that like we just need nobody to do it. Like, fuck. Basically, what I'm trying to say is when I say that I am in some ways hitting from the same ballpark, is I am also an effeminate gay man who likes makeup and am generally attracted to not straight men, but masculine men, like masculine presenting men. I'm open. Like, I have found people from all sorts of different walks of life that I have found myself attracted to, but like as a general, I like them to be like masculine, fit, hairy, like that whole thing. And a lot of times men who are not necessarily straight, but straight presenting or more bisexual presenting or even gay present. I don't know. I don't want to word this incorrectly because like it's a touchy subject, but just like for me, I am more attracted to masculinity in people. And because of that, I do often find myself attracted to men who are not necessarily attracted to me. That's standard. That's something that I think a lot of people from any community or any sexuality deal with, like being attracted to somebody who isn't attracted back to you. And I think the big problem here is not being able to accept that or take that. I think that that's the biggest thing that we have a lot of issues with. I mean, like the whole incel community, that is their big thing, is them being attracted to women that are not attracted to them back, and them not being able to take that, them having either too much pride or just thinking too highly of themselves, and them becoming vicious because they are not getting this affection returned. And I think for James Charles, that is the big thing there as well. I think that he found himself attracted to these people that were not attracted back to him, and because of his pride, he couldn't accept that. And so then when he got power and when he got followers and when he got fame, he had something that he could finally hold over them and use to convince them to, I mean, obviously they're not going to be attracted to him, but, to do things with him really against their will because he had some way to have control over the situation. And I think that that's really my big talking point here, is just like we as humans need to understand that not everything can go our way or will go our way. And even if we have the power to make things go our way, it's 9 times out of 10 not the right choice. If something is not going to go your way and you try to coerce it into going your way by abusing the things that you have, like, that's not right. I hate being like, this is what we need to change as a society, because like I think that we need to put these changes and these positive things into the environment, but I don't think that speaking on such a broad term is really going to help the situation as a whole. But it needs to be said. Like, I myself, and this is something that I wanted to circle back to, I myself have been attracted to plenty of men who are not attracted to me. And I think, similarly to James Charles, I grew up in a very, very secluded area. I did not grow up in a city. I did not grow up in an area of the world where I had a lot of people who could return my affections around me. Like, I grew up in a community where it was very hillbilly. It was very redneck. It was very, you were shunned for any sign of femininity. And even if somebody may have been attracted to other men, showing that would have got them completely ostracized at school. And I know that that's how it was for a lot of people in all areas of the world. But I just mean, like, for my entire time growing up, going through middle school, going through high school, figuring myself out, I never once heard of another guy who was, like, masculine and gay and would be into me. So all of my crushes throughout school were on men who either would never be able to return my affection, or who I was under the impression, because they were not out, would ever be able to return my affection. So this is something very common, like I was saying, for all people, but I think especially for people in the gay community, and especially for those in the gay community who are not in a very populated area. I was hoping that this was changing a little bit with the acceptance of the LGBTQ plus community, and even with things such as dating apps, which allow you to pinpoint those in your area who may be interested in you. But I think that it's just one of those things where we as humans get hung up on that which we want and can't have, and giving somebody who needs to have that a position of power is obviously what leads us into these situations in the first place. Really, what I wanted to hit on is I myself have had plenty of crushes on straight men. And the thing that you need to do is just understand that, like, you can do that. And you can have a crush on a straight guy. That is not the abhorrent thing. That is not the horrible thing in this situation. The horrible thing is trying to force them into submission, into doing what you want them to do, even though they're straight, or even though they don't want to. You know, that's where you fuck up. Like, everyone in this world has crushes. I have crushes on straight guys to this day. I see them, I go, oh my gosh, you're cute. Worst case scenario, I go home and I think about how freaking cute they were and imagine myself cuddling with them, you know, but I don't I don't do it, because that is how the fucking world works. Like, you need consent. And if they hit me up, then we'll talk. But, like, it's just mind-blowing to me. This whole video might be, like, a complete jumbled mess. I didn't have really any concrete plan coming into it. I just knew that I wanted to hit on the fact that it is okay to like straight men, as uncomfortable as that may be. The part that is not okay is acting on that. The part that is not okay is abusing your spot in society or your position of power to get that. And I think the big thing with this whole situation and with James Charles is that he saw it, and this is a thing that I similarly get, and this is a thing that is similarly a part of our community, whether a lot of us like to admit it or not. But when you have been, as a lot of gay men have, or gay people, but just to speak from personal experience as a gay man, is sort of that challenge, is that, like, you've been in a lot of ways sexually repressed for so long, living in a place where you cannot freely express yourself in a sexual way. You know, you cannot, and I don't know how good this behavior is from anybody, but you cannot just sit down and message that guy that you think is cute and expect some form of something in return. I think for a lot of gay men, they know that there is no chance that the person that they are sexually interested in is interested in them back. And so I think that that's where a lot of gay men get this complex, where they just want what they can't have. They want that thing where there is a 0% chance that they're going to get it. But, like, what if they, what if they do this, or what if they use this, or what if they somehow spin the situation around so that they have something that the other person wants? And then if they do that, can they get it? And I know a lot of people have made the joke about James Charles in escape rooms and trying to solve the puzzle. I think even Tati mentioned that specifically in her video. And I think that in a lot of ways, that is a good analogy. Like, I hate that it's put in such specific terms, but like, for him, and he's even said it in some of his videos, he talks about like, what's the challenge in that? Like, if they're gay, like, there's no challenge in it for me. But that's obviously not something that is a standard behavior for those of us who are interested in something that is not interested in us back. The behavior is maybe the desire for that. I grew up, discovered myself in a place where it was absolutely not acceptable, and nobody in the surrounding area ever showed interest in other men, ever were somebody that I could potentially flirt with or have a chance with. And then because of that, most of my crushes were on men who were straight or who would never have any interest in me back. But you accept that that's your situation, you accept that that's your life, and you move on. Whether you're in a position of power, whether you have something that you can hold over them, or whether you don't. Like, you just don't. Like, that is breaking consent. Even if you force them into a position where they say yes because you have that thing that they want, that is still not consent. And as human beings, we can feel that. We can feel that it's wrong to do. Like, we can tell when we are using somebody else, or when we are using those things that we have to coerce somebody else. And that's where he went wrong. And there were obviously a lot of other things that he did, but this is the thing that really disappointed me the most, because it really sets us back, and it makes, as much as like it sucks to have one person represent a community, in a lot of ways James Charles was a representative for our community. And as many people hated him prior to this, and as many controversies as he had, like, he was the figurehead male identifying gay man on the internet, really. Like, there are others, but especially for my community, for the beauty community, and for the makeup lovers of the world, like, people who aren't in the community knew James Charles. They knew his name, they knew his shtick, like, they knew what he was all about. And so now, hearing that pretty much the biggest beauty boy, definitely the biggest beauty boy in the industry, is exhibiting these predatory behaviors that have been like a specific stereotype for gay men for so long, is just so disheartening. Like, when I first heard the news, I cried, and not because of pity, but just because of like how fucking gut-wrenchingly disappointing. Like, it really sucks. It's really put everything, it's pushed everything back. Like, it's really, he just fucking sucked. Like, he really sucked. We need to do better. And he did much worse. So anyway, that's pretty much all I wanted to say, I think. Sorry if I seemed a little scrambled, but I just needed to talk about it. I have been thinking about it for the last couple days since everything broke, and that's it. Thank you guys so much for watching. I hope that you have a wonderful day or night wherever you are in this great big world. Don't trick people. Don't use people. Respect what people are saying to you. And live your best life. That's about it. Thank you so much for watching. Bye.